We are two guys, one cup.
It is a Monday, the 22nd of June. Everyone relax. This is Two Guys, One Cup, an AFL adjacent podcast. My name is Charlie Clausen, and I am joined by one of the first guys to say, hey, you know what? Footy and comedy, it should go together on a podcast. Adam Rozenbachs, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this. How good's footy?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. For those of you who may be not aware, Adam is one of the co-hosts of Junktime. Normally, I'd say he's the more tolerable of the two hosts because Michael Chamberlain, of course, being a Hawks fan, is constantly strutting around talking about the fucking 9-10 premierships he's seen in his lifetime. But Adam, what a season the Blues are having. Like last year, Will and I built an entire year's worth of episodes making fun of Carlton supporters and their misery.
Yeah.
But look who's eating crow now.
As did I. We are pathetic. You know the way that people go, what's it like being a Carlton supporter? And the way that I equate it is we were the hot guy in high school who's now fat and bald. So we've got this swagger. You're like, why are you strutting around like that? And you're like, mate, we were 30 years ago, we had something. And now we're just like, we're going to Turkey for a hair transplant.
Well, it's funny. Like I had Terry from Blue Abroad on the show a few times, and it really sort of struck me when I had him on last year when you guys were really, sort of it just at the bottom of the barrel, and he was saying,
I don't know if we were bottom of the barrel. We were like, for Carlton, that was about a third of the bottom of the barrel. We've been bottom of the barrel. We've seen the barrel bottom. Yeah,
but he was saying to me like that for the age he is, like in his early 30s, he was like, hey mate, like I actually have more in common with you, a Saints supporter.
Yeah.
He's gone, I've seen 5 wooden spoons. And he's gone, so when I hear these older Carlton fans talking about, we're going to have a bit of pride and Carlton, we have high standards. Like, well, I've never seen those fucking high standards. All I've seen is just disaster and misery.
Yeah, our high standards are how quickly we can sack a coach and what the exit interview is like, which we didn't give to Michael Voss.
For the first time ever, sacking a coach,
mate,
been the best thing you've ever done.
So that's the bit that kills me is, Carlton are renowned for sacking coaches, and we have done pretty well since like 2002 or 3 when we got rid of Wayne Britton, and we've just had a procession of coaches leave since then. But the actual first time when we should have gotten rid of a coach before his time was the end of last year. And Carlton went, no, we're not going to do what everyone expects us to do. And then we were in a holding pattern until Vossi was gone. And then when he's gone, it's like this freedom that you see at Melbourne. And you kind of were just looking at Melbourne going, yeah, they did the right thing. They got rid of some dead wood. They got rid of a coach that was, got him a premiership and had his time. And then we didn't. And so we wasted 9 games. About just beating Richmond.
I was going to ask you about that because it seems like Carlton fans, at least, up until 5 weeks ago, sort of fell into 2 camps where there was the sort of rabidly anti-Voss who saw the writing on the wall a long time ago, or there was the guys, and as a neutral, I sort of fell more into this category, which is like, I think Voss is a good coach and he's obviously a great leader and, his credentials are impeccable. Maybe it's the players who are letting him down. Well, I think 5 weeks later, we have a definitive answer on that. What camp did you fall into?
I wanted him gone during last year. I think that the one thing that I saw was when he came in, he changed the game style to really contested, and that worked at the time because that's how the game was played. And when the game shifted to quick outside run, we were still playing this really tough, top-heavy, slow game. And we were just getting annihilated when teams just got on the outside and broke it open. And the thing that amused me about Vossi, amongst many, many things that amused me about Michael Voss was when he was talking to Damien Barrett, like the day after he got the arse from Carlton. And he said and his general philosophy with life was, I don't have a plan B. I just go with whatever's out there and I don't think about, if something goes wrong, what I do. And I'm like, that's your coaching, dickhead. You don't have a plan B. Someone's getting off the chain and you're like, I will just roll with what we had for, the last 8 weeks that people have, got insight on and know how to beat us. We won't change that. I've got no plan B. I don't need a plan B. And now his plan B is doing special comments at Fox Footy on a Thursday night.
I know. I mean, which is actually, I was thinking about like, people feel bad for sack coaches, but I mean, how great would it be to walk into a huge media contract after coaching, like less stress, a great job. I mean, everyone used to talk about,
Scott?
Hey?
How happy is Brad Scott? Imagine being
Yeah.
paid almost $2 million to not coach Essendon. What a deal.
Well, people used to say back in the day, like when Dermy was everywhere, it's like, oh, got such great insights. Like, why doesn't he become a coach? I reckon Dermot Brereton is the smartest man in football. Like, he let that legend live on. He could have been a great coach, been a great coach. Meanwhile, Buckley, Hurd, all these other guys who had great careers, obviously good analysts of the game, they've just ruined their reputations by getting into
100%.
coaching.
Look at Adam Simpson now. They've gone, hey, do you want to coach? He's like, no, I do
Just-
SEN a couple times a week and I'm on Fox Footy and I'm loving it. I've got 2 KFCs in Perth. I don't need to. I don't need the crap.
So I guess that leaves you with the conundrum.
What was your
now
take on
of-
Vossy? Let me stop you. Let me stop you.
well,
There. What
I
was your
said
take on Vossy?
I said I fell into the I thought he was a good leader of men, and that the players weren't living up to the standard. But like, I didn't watch Carlton closely enough tactics, like game to game, to know what he was like as a tactician. I was just going off. He speaks really well. You know, he seems to have a good philosophy, good sense of
Does he
humor about
speak
himself.
well?
Well, I thought he's a good media performer, at least. It's just that it's funny too when you think about him as a player. Like, you know, he was such an aggressive battering ram and, would give shit. You know, obviously had a bit of the fig jams on the field.
Yeah.
But then as a coach, had this kind of like, I don't know, it was a bit meek. Like when you guys were going through your, like, I don't know if it was this season or last season, but a streak of matches where you didn't win many games. And he would
We could
front
pick
up
many
and
a
just sort of
season.
and just sort of parrot out the same sort of talking points about like there's things we've got to get better at and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, that's odd." Like you just would have thought he would have carried more of that bravado through. But I just think, look, I've got a few like AFL chats going on. Obviously, I got my Saints chat, but then I've got my
How many people in
generic
the
friends.
Saints chat?
How many? Probably about 15, I'd say, all miserable.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Famous
it's more of
people?
a.
Is it famous or is it just low key or is it everywhere in between?
You might have heard of this app. It's called BetterHelp. That's what we call our Saints chat. Look, it is a mix of people who work in the media and just general
Okay.
punter fans and other
Yep.
types. I started it. I initiated it because I was like, I just felt like I needed a safe space to go talk about St Kilda where we get kicked in the media enough. And I just wanted a place where we could talk about the games. But then within the group, we started getting some like Damien Barrett-esque kind of comments
Yeah,
that people are like
right. Yeah, don't do
hanging
that.
shit. And I'm like, and the amount of times I've had to be like, hey guys, like I'm happy for anyone to join this group, but let's
Yeah.
just be positive in here. Like I just don't want another
Yeah.
branch of the media that's going to make me feel depressed.
Yeah, I've got enough of that going on in my own life.
But this generic Saints, the generic AFL chat is mainly Carlton fans. And so I've been keeping half an eye on that. And so they're up and about now, like the bandwagon's rolling. But I asked them, okay, so what do you do about Fraser? Serious question. What do you do about Fraser? And so the majority of them are like, do not re-sign him now. Get to the end of the season first. But then what if an Essendon comes knocking? Like, what do you feel? Do you feel like you have to lock him away now? It's obviously working. Statistically, you guys are in a really good spot, but you've been burnt by the Teague train. You don't want to go down. I mean, it's hard for Carlton, right? Because you have literally done every iteration of the coach there is. You've done the Messiah. You've done the untried guy. You've done the statistician, nerd guy. You've done them all. And none of them have worked. So even through a process of elimination, it doesn't give you any great insight about what you should do with Josh Fraser.
You know what we've done, though? We've always been the step behind. We got Pagan when he was done. We got Malthouse when he was well and truly done. There was all the people who came out of the Hawthorn system, like Hardwick and Beveridge and Simpson. And what do? We wait forever and we get Brendan Bolton, the teacher. So we get like the fourth best in line of all of that. David Teague, he was like fine and he got a bit of a sugar hit, but he brought in older players that weren't going to take us forward to get those wins. And then Carlton, we got stars in our eyes and like, he's the man forward. And you're like, yeah, was he? Was he ever? And he no, he wasn't. And then, did anyone want Vossy? Did we have to jump at that?
Tell me, take me back to that decision. So were you not on board from the very beginning?
No, I wasn't actually, just because he wasn't very good at Brisbane and he had, it was just a really weird thing. And then he went and coached under Ken Hinkley for a while. And I think we were taken by the Messiah kind of complex, which Carlton is very want to do. Apart from Brendan Bolton, we've kind of looked at big names and gone, yeah, this is the guy forward. And what did he do under Ken Hinkley? And what did Ken Hinkley do? He never took
Yeah.
Port anywhere. They went to the prelims a couple of times and failed. It's like, so what did he teach him? He just put out some cones for Ken Hinkley.
Well, it's hard, right? Like Ken Hinkley is a bit like Ross Lyon in that has this great reputation, but hasn't actually won anything. Like at least Ross
Yeah.
Lyon got his teams to grand finals, but they do have this reputation of being, they're like, thought leaders or at least, outstanding in their field. But I don't know. It's hard with Carlton because you want to keep this momentum going. You want to keep the excitement up because Josh Fraser's played this really smart, hasn't he? He's like, well, I don't want the
Yep.
top job, so immediately
Yep.
taking the expectation off. So he's almost on level with the players. It's like just play with freedom. There's no expectations.
Yeah.
If we make the wild card round, great. But I think that it might be the only time it could get complicated is if another club does come calling.
Yeah, I do wonder whether I reckon the old Carlton would have been spooked by that, but now they're like, okay, if someone else really wants him, then I just hope they go through that process. And I tell you what, I've got so much faith in Graham Wright. Like, he built Hawthorn, he got McRae into Collingwood, and they interviewed Voss and just went, we're going with McRae. So and so I just I have faith in the people that are running it. They haven't panicked as yet. No, they didn't panic last year when they should have got rid of Voss. They just went, yeah, we'll hang on to him. We've got a long-term plan where they traded out Curnow, DeConning was gone, Silvani left, and they kind of went, we're not going to freak out just yet. We will freak out, but at the moment, we'll get some players in that we got, for the trades for Curnow and all that kind of stuff. And if players don't want to be here, then, bad luck. So I'm kind of hoping that they go through the process and Graham Wright just picks the right coach, whether that's Josh Fraser or another team snaps him up. But just hopefully there's a really good assistant coach out there that, can give us some hope, for God's sake.
Well, it's almost like the best position to be in, like because you sort of would have said 6 weeks ago the season's over. So everything that is happening now is just like bonus, like because you can still always default back to like if we don't make the wild card, we're never going to this year. We went on a sweet run, but we've got some green shoots and we can look forward to next year. Whereas there's teams like if you're a Saints fan or a Roos fan or if you're the Suns fan, like it's or a Pies fan or a Giants fan or the two Giants fans, like it's a real shit place to be right now because we're all hovering around the middle of the table, but there's expectations, at least on, the Giants and the Suns, North and St Kilda. There was expectations on this season and none of those teams might make it. I mean, the Suns are particularly like galling, right? Especially, I never had an issue with the Suns. They're a bit of like a non-factor, but then, the Saints and the Suns have had a bit of back and forth, the Nepo babies call, but also Dimmer I used to find Dimmer's kind of grouchiness endearing. Now I'm just finding him annoying, the way he bitches and moans after a game.
Mate, it's like you've got everything handed to you and now it's not going your way and you got Petrarca in and you're like, this is just the next step on our way to the flag. And it's like, it has not worked at all. And
what was the quote?
Like
75% of his premiership list
80%.
already? 80%. Yeah, right.
80%. So 17 of those players are in the room apparently. And you just kind of go, I never really, the expansion clubs, everyone was kind of on board when GWS made the granny in 2019, everyone was kind of, right behind them. But now Gold Coast, you're just a bit like, there's like this expectation that they should get it. And you're like, no, go fuck yourself, Sound.
Yeah. And it was also that soft start. They had like that soft draw. They won those games early and they've had soft draws for the last couple of years. That's the thing that, look, I love this being like a national game and I'm all for like expanding the code and I want AFL to be the dominant football code in Australia. But part of you does go, fuck you guys.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You're a corporate football team. You've been gifted everything. You've been given a triple premiership coach and you still can't get your shit together. Like how many more handouts do you need? But I think, Adam, I know what the problem is. I found this clip of Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson from a bit of a preseason interview. And this might go to the root of the problem. What is a verb is the question. Matt Rowell doesn't know what a verb is. So doesn't know what chasing is, doesn't know what tackling is, doesn't know what running is. Is that the issue?
Doesn't know what winning is.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of these kids are just gifted to run through, aren't they? They're like, I'd love to see Matt Rowe's report cards from year 9 to year 12. If he can't nail a verb, what's he doing at school? He's writing in the diary, he's eating grass, and they're just like, mate, yeah, you go through. You've done year 12. Well done, Matt. Congratulations, you're the ducks of the school.
Yeah, Dylan Moore, I think, in the interview after the Hawks game on Friday, he was trying to use the phrase, "That's the elephant in the room." He said,
Yeah.
I think he said,
God.
that was the elephant under the carpet.
I mean, you're going to notice him.
Yeah,
You're going to notice him.
yeah. Well, look, it's good. It's good they are good at football, but yeah, the Suns are just it's just a worry too, because like if they can't get a foothold. Like GWS have had success, and they're a good football club, and they're struggling to bring people through the gates. Like, what are the Suns going to do?
Completely agree. Like they've got to be, top 4 or top 6 and kind of, for want of a better word, box office for people to go along. And mostly it's, when they play Collingwood up there, Collingwood fans travelling, and other big teams like Carlton had a really good crowd at NG Stadium on Saturday. And it's kind of like
They were
you're
louder
banking
than
on
the
the
Giants
teams that you're
fans.
playing. Oh, by a mile.
Like the booing of a Giants goal was louder than the Giants cheers for a Giants goal.
Have they thought about, if they wanted to make money out of the Giants or recoup some of their money, just selling that top deck on the opposite side of NG Stadium? You know, the one that's on the broadcast.
Yeah.
They never open it. You never see
put a
anyone up there.
restaurant
Just
up
sell
there.
those seats. Yeah, mate, do something with it. Because nothing else going on. Oh, look at these great views over Bankstown. There you go.
Well,
It's like the stadium walk at Adelaide Oval. Similar thing. You can go up there and just look over Bankstown.
Yeah, back when Metricon had the naming rights for People First Stadium, do you remember they used to have a swimming pool behind the goals?
Yeah,
occasionally.
How grim was that swimming pool?
See people in a swimming pool, so well, maybe they can do that at the Beanstalk as well.
Just people who've had like 9 Bundy and Cokes and haven't left for the whole game. And you're like, what colour is this pool? I feel for the guy to drain that. He's like in an Ebola hazmat suit.
Yeah, well, have you been to People First Stadium? Did you?
No, I haven't been up there. No.
It's a really odd stadium. It's very similar to NG Stadium in that it's kind of, it's out of the way. Like, it's not easily accessible. In a dead zone, kind of like an industrial area where it's not like you can just walk from the pub, and it doesn't have any of that atmosphere that you might get at the Adelaide Oval or SCG or anything like that.
And you need to wait for a bus to get back into town, don't you?
Yes, and they used to have parking there, but every time I've tried to park there since, like, the parking's been closed, because there's a like an aquatic centre nearby as well. But there's just something about when you're in the outer and you're at a game during the day, because it's that Queensland sun. It's so high and bright. It's a really uncomfortable experience. Ironically, you're watching the Suns, but you can't see them because the sun's in your eyes. You're watching a game up there.
It's part of the experience.
Let's talk about the Hawks for a bit. We've ragged on Gold Coast. Ugh. I mean, you have to put up with this shit every week talking to Michael. But, like, what is it? Like, how are a team as good as they are and just routinely good?
I mean, it's a question that I ask myself often as I fall to sleep and have just done a podcast and had to, see a Cyril Rioli bobblehead in the back of the Zoom or whatever. And you just go, they've just made correct decisions for 30, 40 years. And you just go, can you have a break? Like,
but they almost folded in the late 90s. This is the thing.
I know. How did that happen? They just won like 6 flags and then they went, we haven't done our finances very well. It's like, God, I wish that had happened. Just the joy that could have brought everyone else for years. But then they would have been a powerhouse as, the Melbourne Hawks or whatever they were.
The Melbourne, yeah. But it's such a Hawthorn thing that, they sailed close to the abyss and then they came out of it stronger in a way. Like 10 years later, they draft Lance Franklin, they get a flag in 2008, and then, I mean, it must just suck. And not only that, but Sam Mitchell, who, I don't know if you took much notice of Sam Mitchell or what you thought of him, but I always found him, I don't know, like he unnerved me as a player. Yes, cold, calculating.
Yeah,
like
which is what you want in a coach, actually. I would love Sam Mitchell as my coach.
Yeah, okay. But just like Hawthorn, the team, Sam Mitchell is adding strings to his bow. Did you hear him on Fireball doing a bit of comedy?
Mitch,
No.
He's doing jokes now.
Gear. That's good gear. You know what? The thing about Hawthorn, right? This is how high they've set the bar for their fans. I had a friend of mine, he's got like a 9 or 10-year-old son, and he was complaining that his son has never seen a flag in his life. And I was just like, you know, when you're standing on the second deck of the MCG and you're like, they're fairly steep stairs that I could push you easily backwards down right now, because don't say that to me. Please don't say that to me, because I will stab you. I will stab you, and I'll text myself into that into the antisocial hotline. I'm happy to give myself up, because I will be a hero of the people if I stab the Hawthorn fan.
Yeah, it's just I think as a competition we have to stamp this out. Like we can't let them go on another run. They can't have another dynasty. It's not fair. Like in the same way that people say there shouldn't be any billionaires, there shouldn't be any three-peats. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's not fair. Brisbane don't get one. Hawthorn don't get one. No more three-peats until the 99% of us teams who don't get them, we win a flag.
I mean,
Although,
that's the thing.
yeah.
You know, when you see the New York Knicks and people go, oh, it was 53 years since they last won one. And you go, on one hand, you go, wow, that is a long time. And on the other hand, you just go, oh, so there's hope. There's hope
Yeah,
that I've
it's the hope
lived.
that
You know,
kills
I'm
you.
52 now. So I'm 1 year away from having that drought broken by Carlton. It's been 31 years for Carlton. So if I've got another 22, do I have to be in my 70s? I'm working that stuff out in my head. There's less teams in the AFL. So is our cycle going to come quicker? I mean, you may have, busted that wide open, but do you have hope? Do you think
No.
you'll see one
No.
in your lifetime?
No. I had Cheats from Type Media on the show a few weeks ago. He's a Pie
Yeah.
supporter, and he said something to me that just left me agog, where he was like, oh, you've got to go into every season thinking you can win the flag. It's like,
It's like,
what the
no, why
fuck
would
are
I do
you
that?
talking about? I have never gone into any even 2009, 2010, when we were like premiership favourites. I didn't go in thinking we could win the flag.
Did you not have confidence in those years that, something
Well,
was brewing and that
2009's a
you
bit
could
of
get there?
2009's a bit of an odd one, because 2008 we didn't make it past the prelim, and then we surprised everyone in 2009, only losing 2
Yeah.
games for the season. 2010, yeah, maybe I was confident, but I felt like Geelong were the dominant team of that era, that sort of late 2000s,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they'd beaten us in 2009. So I felt like I didn't know if we are going to get back. And Nick Revolt, you probably don't remember, but he ripped his hamstring off the bone in like round 6. And it looked like he was gone for the season in 2010. So I definitely thought I didn't think we were going to make it. But that's just even talking to the Saints guys after we lost to the Dogs yesterday in the chat, we were sort of saying like it was just one of those games, it was one of those seasons where we've lost a lot of close games, and a lot of games have had like Max Hall, runs too far. We've got all the momentum. We're
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
back. 2 weeks ago in Sydney, that mark to Marcus Windhager
Oh,
was not
mate.
apparently didn't travel 15 meters, play on. And so we were saying, it's just, we just haven't had the rub of the green. One of the guys was like,
Yeah.
we haven't had the rub of the green for
60 years.
153 years. Like fuck Fortis quo fidelis, like strength through loyalty. It should be strength through shit fuckery. That is the St
Mate,
Kilda motto.
you got your rub of the green that day. The ball bounced through behind, and then that's it. They've gone.
That's
You've got
it.
it. You've had your one, and fuck off. You're not getting another one.
Well, you just got to ask, like, I don't know if it's different, because have you actually attended one of the flags in like 1995 or?
No.
No, so you've never actually
1987.
been.
And you know what? 95, it was kind of because, I was like a student, and so I had no money, and I was like, that's all right. When I get a job in a couple of years, I'll get to go to our next flag. And oh, how wrong I was.
Man, but do you get any, like, does it feel like, do you feel like that's part of your Carlton identity, that flag, or is it just so long ago that it doesn't feel relevant anymore?
Yeah, it's faded in time. Like it's like
You're not going back and watching
know,
the replay of 95.
Nah. I watched more the Melbourne semi-final win a couple of years ago when we got up by 2 points or whatever. I watched that a lot more.
You mean when Petrarca kicked a goal to put the D's in front and it was denied?
No. That was the one where I reckon Melbourne kicked like 5 points in the last quarter and should have buried us and didn't. And then Wiedering kicked it to Holland, who kicked it to Doherty, who kicked it to Akers, who kicked the goal. Not that I've watched it over and over again and know every bit of that, but That's where I go back to. I don't go back to 95. I remember it fondly. We lost 2 games that year. One was to you and one was to Sydney. And they were 2 games in a row. And we got towed up in the middle of the season. And then apparently Diesel in one of the meetings was just like, why do we have to lose another game? Like everyone says it's good for us. Why? And then they didn't. So they were good times.
Do you have a Carlton chat? Are you like
Mate, our Carlton chat is wild and loose. So just
how many
times?
how many times has there been calls to sack the coach or sack the board? Like I imagine there's a lot of that going on.
If I went back through and did a find on Vossi and Stupid and C-Bomb, my phone would probably just melt down. I mean,
mentioned
Dave Hughes,
more times than Trump in the Epstein files. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, not as heavily redacted. I mean, Dave Hughes is in there, and he'd happily, happy for me to talk about, him being in the group because I'll keep other people safe. And he's insane. He just goes from wild swings to like, we're fantastic. I'm on board to sack everybody, get rid of the board.
You're talking about Dave Hughes. It's like Dave Hughes to go on an unhinged rant about something that's bothering him.
This is a chance for him to get it out.
The only forum he has to express
and
his
it's very
views.
funny. In this group, he'll go bananas about like capital gains tax or Victoria's debt, and no one bites. People are just like, mate, we want to bag Vossi. We want to bag Vossi, mate. Stop talking about capital gains and negative gearing.
Yeah, it is always interesting.
We've got people to bag.
When people try and take it in directions other than football. Like it's just
You're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? This is the purpose of the chat. In fact, I have a third one because I live in the Northern Rivers. I have a third chat, it's called the AFL Appreciators Society. So it's any time one of us is going to the pub to watch a game, we put a call out saying, hey, we're going to go. And it sucks because I go for St Kilda. No one ever wants to watch a St Kilda game. It's like, the Cats fans, like, hey, watch the Cats. Yeah, we'll go watch the Cats. Or the Blues fans, we'll go watch the Blues. And I'm like, hey, guys, I'm going to watch St Kilda versus the Dogs 3:15 on a Sunday. Who wants to come? It's just like dead silence.
Yeah, no, we'd rather watch Riverguay v Ivory Coast.
Is that on now? Is that what you're looking at? I can see your eyes are moving.
It just finished, actually. It was 2-2. It was a good game.
Are you on board with Flagmantle?
It's an interesting one, Freo. It's amazing how when we get to this point of the year...
Sorry. Any mention of Freo. Got to play the old theme. This is their old one, isn't it great? It's got like more of a heavy rock vibe. This is what they need to go back to. Sorry, I'll fade it out. Keep going. All right, I'll stop.
Do we always get to this point of the year and think that the person on top is going to win? And then they rarely do. Yeah. I think it was Geelong a couple of years ago that did it. But most teams that are flying at this time of year, and, you can talk to that in 2009 when you beat Geelong in that cliffhanger at Marvel.
Yeah.
We get ahead of ourselves. But I tell you what, they bat deep in every position. And God damn it, Luke Jackson is a freak, isn't he?
Hang on. Don't call him Luke Jackson. We call him...
the Unicorn. What do we call it?
The Unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, or him or Mason Cox, one of the two.
Absolutely.
Two most dynamic ruckmen in the competition. They're just amazing. Like, I'm happy to, as a neutral, I love watching Freo just because I don't think there's any team, maybe Adelaide with their forward line, but the way that forward line operates with those 3 big talls and then like Dudley sort of skipping around on the crumbs, they're just so good. Like I think you can hang with Freo for a bit, but they'll eventually just sort of get you. Sydney are a little bit the same, but I think Sydney have more vulnerable, whereas I just don't see where Freo, and the fact that they're doing this traveling from WA for half the season, like I think that's more impressive. They'll definitely should kill teams at home, but they're winning away from home. And even the game they lost to Geelong, they're leading at 3/4 time, or at least in the third quarter. So I don't think this is a false purple dawn. I think they are the real deal. But the only thing that will come back to get him is just that flakiness, like that.
Yes,
that they haven't been there before. They haven't done it. But you could say that about, apart from, Sydney have been there and fucked up. So Sydney would have their own demons. The Cats and the Hawks are probably the 2 teams in the top 4 right now that you'd be like, okay, they've got the experience. They've got on their day. Yeah. But in terms of just
Geelong,
talent,
you talked before about, Hawthorn and how they just never go away. How is it that Geelong have had 23 years of sustainedness?
I just give
What?
up talking about Geelong. It's just like a constant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They barely worth a mention because it's like,
Mm.
well, they're good. What else are you going to say about them?
Yeah, I mean,
Well
how many
managed.
how many jobs at Cotton On do they have to give out? Is Toby Green going to be working there next year, or is he going to work at Morris Finance with Chris Scott? Like, they got so many options down there.
I just can't get over the cultural change that's happened. Like they've made like selling life in Geelong appealing.
Mm,
Like that is
mm.
the greatest like turnaround of or image
Yeah,
makeover of a region that's
yeah.
ever
It'd be like
happened.
people going to St Kilda because they go, mate, Frankston, you're close to Frankston Station.
Do you want
You
to come
can
to
really
seafood?
just sing it. Yeah, yeah. Do you want do you need meth? What do you need? Oxy? We can get it
Yeah.
for you. Whatever you players need. If you're a bit sore after a game, we got you.
But I saw it firsthand. Like I went to GMHBA last year for the first time, probably since the 90s. Like saw the many upgrades that the Victorian taxpayer has paid for over the past 15 years. And I think they're putting an application in for another one. I believe they have to add
Yeah,
another 5,000 seats.
yeah. I mean, why didn't you do that in the first instance? I never understand that when they're like, oh, it's got to get bigger or wider. It's like, did you not plan ahead? Did you think that everything was just going to stay exactly the same? You go, well, as long as more people don't move down to Geelong, we should be
Yeah.
fine. And you're like, mate, everyone's moving to the surf coast. What are you fucking doing?
Yeah, well, there's a voting block you have to satisfy. So you've got to like announce funding
I
every 2 or
gotcha.
3 years
Yeah, okay.
in order to win an election.
Okay, Husey, calm down.
I'm angry. But it is a great stadium to watch at. And after, because I was in the members area, the Cats members area, and after the siren had gone and the players had run in the boundary, they were genuinely chatting with the crowd because they knew them. Like it felt like
Yeah,
at
so it
like a
does have
VFL
a
game.
local footy club
Yeah,
vibe down there. Yeah, okay. I mean,
yeah,
that's interesting, isn't it? Because if you see like a player in the city in Melbourne, they wouldn't want to give you the time of day, but maybe
no.
down there you're more likely to see them. You see them like down at
Well,
Torquay
that's
or
your butchers,
Moggs
that's your
Creek or
plumber,
wherever you
that
are.
yeah, that's your electrician, that's the guy you're buying your feed from if you're Jeremy
Yeah.
Cameron. It's almost
Yep.
the inverse of Carlton. Like playing for Carlton would be such a double-edged sword, right? Because when the team's doing well and you're playing well, like you're not paying for a drink, every meal is free
Yeah.
on Lycon Street. But then
Yeah.
the minute shit is going bad, it's like you
Yeah. They're
might have to
spitting in
just
your
like,
coffee. Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have to go into witness protection or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The Carlton crew's
Like
after you.
Charlie Curnow going, like, how did you? I mean, I probably can guess how you felt about it, but I understand why Charlie Curnow wanted out. Do you?
I apparently got some feedback that he didn't like from Voss. But the one thing that I don't think if you didn't follow Carlton, I don't reckon you saw. I saw Charlie week in and week out, and when the going got tough, Charlie got going out of the ground. Like he just in our finals, he never did great against
Mm,
good, solid backmen. He never fought hard. Whenever he kicked his bags, it was against teams in the lower reaches of the ladder. And I reckon you've seen a few articles of that when he was in Sydney. They're going, oh, he doesn't put in a
yeah.
second effort. He did that in the
Well, he
last game
said
they
it
played, I think
himself.
against you guys.
Yeah, yeah. But didn't
But
he say it
up until
himself?
then, he
Like he
just
came out
doesn't
at the
do it.
start.
Yeah,
He came
right.
out at the start of the season and was like, "I'm just happy to be a role player." And it's like, mate, you're on like $1 million a
Yeah, yeah,
year.
yeah. You're not a role player, buddy.
You're
Yeah,
not a role
don't think
player.
that. So it's going to be interesting to see, when when the whips are cracking, as they do happen to say a little bit every game, how he's going to be for the Swans, come September, and whether he's going to help them, lose a grand final by 15 goals again.
I
He's
mean,
their man,
I have no love for the Swans. So
don't
if
you?
they could, no, it's been a real journey. Like I lived in Sydney for, the better part of my adult life. But it's just the last few seasons. I think I saw the transformation of Blood's culture go from, the Paul Roos, no dickhead policy, like
Yeah.
next man up, to then they sort of became like the Bondi billionaires. And
Yep. Yep.
there is just a generation of Swans fans. And I have to say this caveat every week because Swans fans get annoyed and I do sort of bag them every week. I know that. There are definitely the rusted on old school Swans fans have been there from the start. complete respect for them. But there is the Instagram influencer Swans fans that I just I cannot stomach and I cannot stand. And
Yeah, okay.
all they know is success because the Swans have been a very successful club. But if it got hard, like if they were in the doldrums,
Yeah.
you watch those
Yep.
guys, those rats
Yep.
leave
Yep.
that sinking ship. You just mark my words, Adam Rozenbachs.
No. They'd be at Randwick Racecourse in a heartbeat, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do cocaine at the SCG, but I'm sure they'd find a way.
Is it? Is it? Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know. You
Well,
gotta.
wasn't there was a cricketer or someone who got busted or kicked out of a was it a cricketer or a swimmer? There's some famous celeb who got busted doing coke in the toilets. The security guard followed him to the toilets.
At the SCG.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not going to look it up.
I can't
But I'm
remember
pretty
that.
sure
I
there
mean,
was an
it couldn't.
incident
It
a few
couldn't have
years
been.
ago.
It couldn't have been. We say this, with confidence. It couldn't have been Stuart McGill because he was in a boot at the time. So there's no way he could have got to the toilets.
I mean, Carmichael Hunt went to the Suns, not to the Swans. Maybe I'm mixing my
Yeah.
stories up, but I'm pretty sure there was an incident at the SCG like that.
But that's interesting. You don't like the Swans. I've kind of like. I actually don't mind them. I think, and I don't mind GWS either. It's funny how you have. I know
Yeah.
the person
Loyalty's
that I did
based
the
on
podcast with, Chambo, is always like, you can never have a second team, but you've got
Yeah.
teams that you've got soft spots for and teams that you hate. And I reckon when they're playing each other, when the ball bounces, it instantly you know who you're going.
Yes. It's so funny if you bring up Chambo saying that because I have known Chambo since I was 10 years old. And I think that's one of the first things he ever said to teams. Can you imagine? Like, you've only put up with him for what, 10 years you've been doing the podcast together?
Yeah.
Can you imagine in the 80s being a Saints supporter and one of your best mates is a Hawk supporter? Like how much that would have sucked?
Okay, let me ask you this then. Why did you
Yeah.
stick it out? Because he's not that good a bloke.
I don't know. He's
sorry
good
for him,
snacks.
pity.
His parents, Michael, his parents had the best pantry going around. If you went around to his place in Malvern, they would open up, the kind of guy, the friend of yours who had like, they'd have barbecue shapes, they'd have like chocolate covered
High-end
teddy
stuff.
bear biscuits, high end stuff. Like
yeah, right.
my
Wow,
place is,
teddy bear biscuits can be covered? What?
yeah. What the hell is going on? So good
Jesus.
snacks.
Okay,
But he was
he's a snack
but
man.
he was an arrogant prick as a 10-year-old. Like even like I remember him lauding his flags over me even back then, and what a pathetic club St Kilda were. And he used to always go, "You're a one-man team. If you didn't have Lockett, you'd have no one," which is true, but still,
Mate, what 10-year-old? Needs a punch in the head.
Yeah, he push him down the stairs. He can be another little
Yeah,
ad to that.
exactly. Yeah. In the MCC,
Antisocial.
of course. Yeah. That's the thing too with him, right? Because he's surrounded by all those other people who think the same in the MCC. He's never been held to account. If he ran that in the outer, he's nursing a broken jaw for 6 weeks and he's slurping his chocolate coated teddy bear biscuits through a straw.
But Hawthorn fans are like this. Like I've had Limo on earlier
you know what?
year.
You know what? I would be the same if I'd had that level of success.
Well,
I would be insufferable.
Yeah, could you? It's like saying, can you really be upset at like the daughter of a celebrity who's gone into the entertainment industry and has had all these doors open? They don't know any better. Like they're just doing what they know. Hawthorn fans have just had success. But Emma Race, I had her on a couple of years ago, and I was saying to her like, because I often find so much of my identity is tied into the St Kilda Football Club. Like it's it affects my week, how they play, and my view of the world, and consequently. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I feel depressed a lot. I think bad things happen all the time. And I said, are you the opposite? And she's like, yeah, I think that's right. I think, being a Hawthorn fan, you think that anything's possible and things do normally work out in the end. I'm like, that is so fucked that an arbitrary decision to go for one group of men or women wearing certain colors is going to change your outlook on life.
I know. And also, like, okay, you needed to make up for the horrific colours you chose, but it's gone overboard. And your success clearly outweighs what you have to wear, in and out of the ground. It's disgusting and I don't like it. What is your take on the Bombers?
Oh, I mean, hilarious. Like, it's so great. You mean historically or where they're at now?
No, let's go with that.
I think it's a disaster, but they it is so clear that they are the architects of their own demise. Like
Yes,
even the
100%. Yeah. Asking
like it,
asking for help from the AFL. You're like, are you kidding?
yeah. I mean, they're just the choices they've made, and they are so. I mean, not dissimilar to Carlton in the sense that they're obviously very
Yeah.
wealthy, very powerful club with a history of success, and with that becomes very powerful coterie groups and power brokers on the outskirts who destabilize the board or make their opinions known and put their thumb on the scale when it comes to you know looking for a coach or whatever it is. And it's just the herd thing. Like it's just so funny that all these years later, it's still even a conversation. And the fact that James Hird wouldn't take himself out of the equation, like Adam
No.
Simpson,
Yeah.
like had enough
Yeah.
wherewithal to
Yeah.
go, you know what? Like I appreciate that people are talking about me, but I'll just step back. I don't think it's the right time. Whereas Hirdy, who's not even coached at any level in 10 years or something, is like, yeah, I'd really love the job. And just
Mate, he's
fuck
been an
things
assistant at Port
at
Melbourne.
That's right, cutting the oranges at Port
Yeah,
Melbourne.
he's stood alongside Brendan McCartney. You can't discount what that does to a man.
But, we started this podcast with you talking about Carlton had this tendency to, fall for the Messiah or, want that rock star coach or whatever it is. So part of you is like, all right, Essendon, just scratch that itch. Like, just do it. And fuck, I mean, if it works out, good, great. I'll be happy for them. It's rare that someone who barracks for a small Victorian club wants Essendon and Carlton and Richmond to be successful, but I do. I think footy is better for having our big clubs playing well. But Essendon are just like when they appointed Brad Scott, do you remember how that happened? And they made that last minute bid to get Clarko, and it was just also fucking
Yes,
disastrous.
yeah.
And
It's
then
horrific.
they bring in Brad Scott, who I don't know has ever
Yeah.
really shown he's a good coach. He was responsible for that clean out at North. So you could sort of all see it coming, but I
He
haven't
was a bit
seen the
Ken
arrogance.
Hinkley in that, wasn't he? He was thereabouts with North. He got an okay list into some prelims and stuff, but he never kind of
Yeah.
was ever going to win a flag. And so people went, oh, he must be a good coach. And you kind of go, well, he didn't really change the culture down at Essendon as much as he tried.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, have you seen an ex-coach go on as big a press tour as Brad Scott did
Yeah, I
immediately
know.
after? He was fucking
That was
everywhere.
amazing. Yeah, wasn't he?
was
Voss, he just
crazy.
disappeared. You didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
And yeah, Brad Scott was like, hey, I'm a really good coach. And, I thought we are all on the same page and I was doing the job they wanted. I mean, the thing about getting Herd back is if you do, their list is at such a place that they need another year at least of being, bottom four, right? They're not going to jump up. And are they willing to ride that out to go, is he a good coach? Because you still don't know after a year because they're not going to win more
right.
than, say, half a dozen games. So you're just kind of stuck back in that weird position. That's the one thing I'll say about Michael Voss. He changed Carlton's attitude and hardness of the ball. We became really contested and our pressure on the whole got a lot better than it ever was. We were defensive and we could, stop teams for the most part until the last 18 months score against us. And you just didn't see that at Essendon, even though Brad Scott really tried to change it and nothing really did.
I mean, it's also, you're right. You're so on the money about whoever takes over that Essendon job, it's a poison chalice, right? You're either a
I
development
think so,
coach
for a little bit.
or a transitional coach. But also, and other people have brought this up, this idea of you're bringing in a club legend because of the aura and he can unite and, that might get your caddies to sign on again or whatever. But do they really know who James Hird was? Like you know who he is, but you don't have any connection to him the way they might have with Gaz Jr. or a player that they grew up watching.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
remember at
just
St
find it
Kilda in the 80s
interesting.
when we got Daryl Baldock back. And I
Yeah.
remember my dad being excited. I'm like, who? Like never, a premiership captain. But I had no idea who he was. It wasn't exciting for me.
No, but I get that romanticism of, bringing back a club legend and all that. But I go, you've done that and you know how that turned out. Remember that
Yeah.
thing about 12 years ago? You remember that? Do you have? And you go, you've tried it, and it didn't. And he walked away from the club in 2016 or whatever when they got flogged by 20 goals. He had he had a second crack at it and it didn't go great before they brought in Woosha. So that's where I just find it really odd. And The other thing that amazes me is how divided Essendon supporters are on it. You know, there's such a big camp that are like, we absolutely want him back. And then I got mates who are like, I don't want him anywhere near my club.
Yeah, which I think makes sense, right? Like,
Did you want
if
Ross
you,
Lyon back?
yeah, I'm happy with Ross. Like, I don't know. I don't know how long term he'll be. Like, I feel like maybe it's a bit of a Paul Roos to Melbourne situation where we just had a succession of like Waters, Richardson, Ratton of okay guys, but mediocre coaches and not really standard setters. Whereas the thing about Ross Lyon is he's like a standard setter. Like it's whether or not it's the right standard or not, like, but you definitely play at a level and there's expectation. I don't, I think he's a good coach still tactically. Everyone always sort of talks about, oh, he's so dour defensive. That has not been our profile for like years. Like we've scored over
Yeah.
100 points like 5 or 6 times this year. Our issue is we just don't have a forward line. Like Max King is IA, Liam Ryan had a purple patch, but watching us yesterday, like we dominated the second and third quarters. We had 15 more inside 50s, but we have no one to kick to. Like
Yeah.
you got Naz getting 44 touches, which is brilliant,
Yeah.
but he breaks through out of the center square and it's like, well, am I going to kick
Where
to
do
one
I
of our three small forwards who have got like 2 guys on the neck? Like it's just,
and then you're throwing Jack Silvani down there at the end.
yeah, which is our that's our desperation move. So
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know that things are going to change for us dramatically until we know if Max King can actually get through a season of football, which is, who knows? I mean, it's almost going to be 3 years by the time he comes back. Well, how long was
That's
Kerno out when he had those knees?
Yeah, I reckon it was about two and a bit or 3 years. It was a while. It was quite a
Yeah,
while.
'cause I remember
kind of
writing
had, our
Kerno
team
off.
had basically written him off. Yeah, and you just kind of go, if he gets back, it's an absolute fluke.
Yeah. So there's that, and I don't know. Our drafting from 2022 to now has been okay, but of that 2022 draft, only Mateus Philippou is the only one who's like should be a regular. But even we've dropped him 2 weeks ago, so we might have to. You've got when you're doing that build, if you look at Freo or Melbourne, in the sort of 2010s, you've just got to nail all those drafts. If you have top 20 picks, you got to get them right. And we haven't, we haven't nailed those so far. Time will tell on like Taru and Travalia and a few of the other kind of big high draft picks we've got. But then the flip side of that is I'm always like, yeah, but then fucking Geelong get a high draft pick and then they just leave them in the 2s for 2 years. Just let them develop
become good
nicely.
players,
And then they come in or they'll go to the VFL and get some 37-year-old plumber and turn him into a 40-goal a year player. It's fucking annoying.
Mate, they get Jack Martin. Carlton delisted Jack Martin. That's what we thought of him. And then they go, we'll grab him. And then he's like playing the best footy of his life. Like, what happens down in Geelong? What are they doing down there?
I don't know. It's some maybe the Cryo Bay water. It's special. All right, that will do it for this week. Adam, have you got anything to promote besides Junktime? We'll put a link to Junktime in the show notes, but have you got anything else you want to give a plug to?
Hey, Father's Day is coming up in a long time. But what about my book, Paris and Other Disappointments? Why don't people have a look at that? It's a very great, funny book about my trip overseas with my dad a few years ago that is worth checking out.
Well, that will be linked in the show notes. I'll be back again next week. Now, I'm not sure the last time you listened to this show, if you've ever listened to it, but we do like to sign off with a footy trope, a footy cliche. Mine is play on, not 15. So as I get ready to do mine, I'm giving you a few seconds to think of yours. That is 2 Guys, 1 Cup for this week. Again, we'll be back next week with another guest. I'm Charlie Clausen. Play on, not 15.
And in the shadows of halftime.
Nice. That's the first one we've had of the shadows of halftime.
Bit of pipe, yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Kicks it, rolls it, goals it. There you go. I got heaps of them.
We're 2 footy-loving dickheads, dreaming about a Premiership Cup. We love our clubs, but they never win. 2 flags in 100 years. That shit house. If you think we'll be insightful, clever, or just well researched, We're here to say that's not the case. We'll just go out and wing it. We are two guys, one car.